Can I remind everybody, please, that the meeting this evening is going to be recorded for webcasting purposes. Can I also remind those seated in the public areas that you will be within sight of the cameras, and by sitting there you will be consenting to the broadcast of your image. Can I remind members that they will need to speak using their microphone, and that if you do wish to speak, therefore, can you indicate and wait to be called by the chair and then only speak through the chair. And can I remind everybody, please, to turn off mobile phones. If you just put it on silent, it will still interfere with the sound system, so can you please turn mobile phones off? Thank you.
Well, good evening, everybody. We'll go to agenda item number 1, apologies for absence. Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I've got to give my apologies. I've got to leave at 6 o'clock. Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Mayor, could I give my apologies as well? I've got to leave at 7:15.
We go to item number 2, declarations of interest. Councillor Jones.
I'd like to declare personal and prejudicial interest in item 20, the biffa profit sharing scheme.
Thank you. We'll go to open session, item number 3, Social Services and Wellbeing Act. To view a video in relation to the Social Services and Wellbeing Act, and I believe Councillor Matthews is going to say a few words before it.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On the 6th of April this year, the Social Services and Wellbeing Act comes into force, which places a number of new responsibilities on local authorities and social services. The purpose is to make life better for people and their carers, make social care law easier to use, give people a strong voice, and make sure people get the help they need to lead a good life. Make sure communities have a chance to offer their knowledge and experience. The Act aims to transform the way social services are delivered, promoting people's independence to give them a stronger voice and more control. It aims to strengthen collaboration and provides a framework for integration of key services, and places new duties on local authorities, local health boards and other public bodies to improve the well-being of people with care and support needs. There are approximately 20 work streams across Cwm Taf looking at the various elements of the Act and making plans for this authority to be compliant with the Act by April. We are not expected to have everything in place by the 6th of April, but those things that should be in place by April are the setting up of information, advice and assistance, training for staff, which is underway, and awareness raising for the public and other services. This brief video is part of that process of awareness and is available to the public. Thank you.
Minutes of previous meetings. Minutes of meeting Monday 18th of January 2016 of Scrutiny, Neighbourhood Services and Public Protection.
Move the minutes, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
Thank you. I'll put it to the vote. And that's been passed. Number 5, minutes of meeting Tuesday 19th January 2016 of Scrutiny, Governance, Performance, Business Change and Corporate Services.
Move, Mr. Mayor. Second, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Can we vote, please, councillors? And that's been carried. Item number 6, minutes of meeting Monday 25th of January 2016 of Rights of Way Committee.
I move the minutes of the Rights of Way Committee, Mr. Mayor.
Second, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Can we vote on this, please? And that's been carried. Item number 7, minutes of Monday, 25th of January 2016 of scrutiny, learning and lay skip.
Move, Mr Mayor. Second, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Can we vote, please? And that's been carried. Meetings of Tuesday, 26th of January 2016 of scrutiny, regeneration, planning and countryside.
Subject to one amendment, Mr Mayor, correction, I'd move this. The correction would be on page 21, where it says present. Councillor Phil Williams was not in fact present. It was Councillor Chris Barry who was present. So with that in mind, I move them.
Thank you. That's been noted. Can we vote on that, please? And that's been passed. Item number 9, minutes of meeting 27th of January 2016 of Cabinet.
Yes, move, Mr Mayor.
Second, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Can we vote on this, please? And that's been carried. Item number 10, minutes of meeting 27th of January 2016 of scrutiny, Joint Scrutiny Committee.
Pressing the wrong button again. In the absence of Mr Lewis, can I move the report, please, Mr Mayor?
Have we got a second?
Second, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Can we vote on this, please? And that's been carried. Item number 11, minutes of meeting 27th of January 2016 of Audit Committee.
Can I move the report, Mr Mayor, please?
Thank you. Can I put that to the vote, please? Thank you, and that's been carried. Item number 12, minutes of meeting 27th of January 2016 of Full Council.
Yes, move, Mr Mayor.
Second, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Can we vote on this, please? And that's been carried. Item number 13, minutes of Monday, 1st of February 2016 of Audit Committee.
May I move, Mr Mayor?
Thank you. Can we put it to the vote, please? And that's been carried. Item number 14, minutes of meeting Monday, 1st of February 2016 of Democratic Services Committee.
May I move, Mr Mayor, please?
Seconded.
Thank you. Can we vote on this, please? And that's being carried. Item number 15, minutes of meeting Monday, 3rd of February 2016 of Objections and Appeals Subcommittee.
Move, Mr Mayor.
Second, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Can we vote on this, please? and that's been passed. Item number 16, minutes of meeting Wednesday 3rd of February 2016 of Planning, Regulatory and Licensing Committee.
Move the minutes, Mr Mayor.
Second, Mr Mayor.
Thank you very much. Can we vote on this, please? And that's been carried. Item number 17, minutes of meeting Wednesday 10th of February 2016 of Cabinet.
Yes, move, Mr Mayor.
Second, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Can we vote on this, please? Thank you, and that's been carried. We go on to the committee reports at item number 18, the City Deal, to consider a report of the Chief Executive, and I believe it's the leader to take this one.
Yes, thank you, Mr Mayor. Mr Mayor, since this report was written a couple of weeks ago, certain events have moved at pace, and consequently the timelines set out in the report are somewhat inaccurate. And if Council will just allow me, I'll bring matters up to date, and I'll be happy to take questions at the end. Mr Mayor, the report seeks to update Council on progress made with the South East Wales City Deal proposals and to advise of the formation of a co-negotiating team to present our business case to both Welsh governments and UK governments, and to note the timescales within which these sessions are undertaken. Members are also reminded that even if a deal is agreed by both governments, as leader of the Council, I be authorised to sign the formal City Deal document only on the basis that it does not commit the Council until the detailed proposals are negotiated and agreed by the constituent authorities. Since the previous report last December, a tremendous amount of work has taken place between Council leaders, officers and advisers, and I must congratulate and thank everyone from across the 10 local councils who have played their part in getting us to where we are today, and that includes this Council's Chief Executive, Gareth Chapman. On Monday of this week, Mr Mayor, the co-negotiating team consisting of Councillor Phil Bale, the leader of Cardiff, Councillor Andrew Morgan, the leader of RCT, and Councillor Peter Fox, the leader of Monmouthshire, presented the final business case to the other leaders of the South East Wales region. We, the leaders, signed off the document, and the negotiating team formally presented to Welsh Government's challenge session on Monday afternoon of this week. Council will note from section 3.4 of the report that the co-negotiating team was to be made up of the 3 council leaders plus a senior member of the business and higher education sectors, but we were advised last Monday that the Westminster Government did not want this, so the team consisted of just the 3 leaders and no one else. Yesterday, Tuesday the 23rd of February, the co-negotiating team met with the Secretary of State for Wales and other central government figures in London to present our case in the second challenge session. The formal outcome of both challenge sessions is not yet available. However, in the event of a successful outcome, the formal signing of the City Deal should take place within the next 2 weeks or so. And I was rather hoping to be able to update members further tonight, but nothing has been forthcoming from those challenge sessions so far. In the event of a successful deal, only then, when each constituent authority is in full agreement with the proposals will we be asked to sign the formal deal, which will be a document which will then become binding. And this could take between 6 and 18 months, depending on the timelines that are available to us. There are no additional financial implications at this time, Mr Mayor, although a further report to Council will be presented in due course in order to deal with finance, in order to finance a dedicated project team in order to take the deal forward. The recommendations are set out on page 57 in section 2 of the report, and I move that in 2.1 the contents and updates of this report be noted, and 2.2 in the event that the deal is agreed by UK Government and Welsh Government at the outcome of the challenge sessions, the leader of the Council be authorised to sign the formal City Deal offer document on the basis that it does not commit the Council until such time as the detailed proposals are negotiated and agreed by the constituent authorities. I so move.
I will second that, Mr Mayor.
Any questions? Councillor Thomas?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's just a simple sort of procedural one, really. I mean, Brendan has gone through a significant number of changes which are not in this report. Can I ask that the minutes therefore accurately show those dates and changes that have been brought to our attention this afternoon?
That will be done, yes. Any further questions? Any comments? No. Can we vote on this, please? And that's been carried. Go to item 19, amendment of the redeployment policy 2015 to consider a report of the Chief Executive, and again it's the leader.
Yes, thank you, for Mr Mayor. And for the purpose of the remainder of the reports I'll be taking this evening, Mr Mayor, tonight I will be Phil Williams.
As long as you don't.
No, I'm not going off on holidays now. Mr Mayor, members will recall that the redeployment policy was approved by Council on the 25th of November 2015. The new policy set out clearly how the Council would deal with circumstances of redeploying employees into new jobs, for instance, if they became at risk of redundancy. The policy also sets out what employees will receive if they are redeployed to a job that is paid at a lower rate than their current job. And it is the responsibility of the employee to decide if an alternative job is suitable and if they decide to accept that job at a lower grade. It should be noted, Mr Mayor, that there is no legal obligation on this Council to pay protect anyone, and a number of local authorities do not have any pay protection in place. Mr Mayor, with the current financial situation, the Council has to carefully consider how to support employees through redeployment without creating further and unreasonable financial pressures. The current policy gives a gradually reducing pay protection to any employee who is redeployed to a job that is one grade lower than their current grade. In the current policy, there is no pay protection for employees who accept a job that is 2 grades or more lower. Council will note from section 1.4 of the report that the trades unions in January of this year approached officers to request that the Council considers extending the current pay protection by allowing employees who are redeployed to a job of 2 grades or more the equivalent of 1 pay grade protection. Recommendation 2.1 gives the wording that is being recommended to be inserted into the policy. And from section 1.5 of the report, it should be noted that the policy would benefit from clarity on how internal redeployment should be managed by each department. And this is custom and practice, Mr Mayor, but due to some queries recently, it is recommended at 2.2 to include in the policy the expected timeline of moving an employee from one role into a new role. The recommendations are set out on page 62 at 2.1 and 2.2 of the report. I so move.
I'll second that, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Any questions? Any comments? No, thank you. We'll put it to the vote. And that's been carried. We go to item number 20, BIFA Profit Sharing Scheme, to consider a report of the Chief Executive. And it's the leader.
Yes, thank you, Mr Mayor. Mr Mayor, this is a straightforward report, and can I move that the Horeb Chapel be granted the £1,000 as set out in paragraph 3.1 of the report?
Any questions? Sorry.
Second, Mr Mayor.
Sorry, I was too quick then. Any questions? Any comments? No. Can we vote on it, please? And that's been carried. Can somebody get Alan back in? Thank you. We'll go to item number 21. Childminding Services in Merthyr Tydfil, to consider report of Corporate Director Place and Transformation and Chief Officer Social Services. And I think it's Linda for this one.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. When CSSIW reviewed the Social Services Annual Report last year, there was criticism of the Council's policy in regard to the requirement for planning permission for childminders. This was highlighted by Denise Moultrie in Social Services Scrutiny meeting and the full Council meeting in December. The current situation in Merthyr Tydfil has been that planning permission is required if a childminder wants to mind more than 3 children. A childcare sufficiency review identified that although there were sufficient places available to meet demand within the borough, there were still childminders with waiting lists. This may be due to finding care at the time required, finding care in the areas required, or indeed finding care at the right price. Changes in CSSIW registration for childminders that comes into force in April of this year further complicates this matter. I appreciate the concerns of the Planning Department, and you will see under 4 that historically the Planning Department has refused a planning application which was upheld on appeal. However, correspondence issued jointly by the Planning Division and the Children's Strategy Division of the Welsh Government encourages local planning authorities and departments responsible for early years development to work together to increase childcare provision. By working together, all stakeholders will play a part in delivering better outcomes, which will have a lasting benefit on the communities they support. The aims are to provide safe childcare that will promote children's development and to deliver significant economic and social benefits. The most recent communications from Welsh Government was as recent as last Tuesday, I think, and we have before us a joint report by Social Services and Planning. I want to give a big thank you to Judith Jones for a prompt amendment of the annual report, and the recommendations in 2 on page 68 fully reflect the recent Welsh Government guidance. So I'd like to move the recommendations in 2. 2.1, the content of the report be debated and noted. 2.2, if a childminder proposes to look after more than 6 children, they're required to complete and submit the questionnaire and covering letter, which are available Annex B and C of the Welsh Government letter. And each case will then be judged on its merit by the Planning Department to determine whether it would result in a material change of use and require planning permission. And also, when a childminder or potential childminder submits the questionnaire to ascertain whether planning permission is required, that there'll be no charge for this service, but of course if planning permission is required, then the full application fee of £380 will apply, and each case will be determined on its merit. I move.
Can I second it, Mr Mayor? Because after the discussion, as Linda just mentioned, on social service scrutiny, there was a bit of argy-bargy between parties, but I'm glad to see it's satisfied being done. And I thank Judith all the work they done to take it forward.
Thank you. Any questions? Councillor Thomas.
Just one at this stage, Chair. Under 2.3, it mentions the application of £380. How does that compare with an application for, say, a small extension, or is that the normal scale of charges, or is this a separate scale identified for this purpose only?
It's the application fee which is set by Welsh Government. An application fee for an extension would be £166.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor. So, just for my own simple clarity then, this extra £200 odd is demanded of Welsh Government, not by us?
We set a schedule of fees for all types of planning applications. The £380 is a type of application for what's known as a change of use, and then built development, there's different categories for those.
Sorry to come back. So do we have any privilege, as it were, to vary these charges? Because, you know, £380, albeit I understand that this is a business being operated by somebody at a profit, is quite a significant chunk when you're starting off.
No, we don't. The fees are set by Welsh Government for all planning applications, and they're not discretionary.
Councillor Moran.
Can I just ask, following on from Richard's question, obviously they may not need planning permission from what you're saying. If they want more than 6, it will depend on their property. So can we have assurances that that will be done on an individual basis, not saying, oh, well, you live in a terraced house, that's it? Because obviously terraces are different and there's, you know, different things opposite them. So will it be individual?
Yeah, that's why we've included each case on its merit, so that we do look at the particular circumstances of each site.
Just to come back on that, if somebody feels that it hasn't been judged on their merit, is there any way they can appeal against that?
There's no method of appeal against the planning department's decision, no.
Councillor Thomas.
Kate Moran has asked part of the question that I was going to ask, actually. Judging cases on individual merit sounds great. Can I assume that the merits will relate to that paragraph in 4.4, which talks about slamming car doors, parking and all the other things, and urge that we're not draconian in applying these measures, because I am aware in the southern part of the borough particularly there is a shortage of childcare places, and I wouldn't want somebody prejudiced. You know, that it has to be very fair, and I'm sure it will be fair, but I'd like that reassurance, please.
Yeah, that is our intention.
Councillor Barrett.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. What checks are presently in line, and are there going to be extra checks because now we can go from 3 to 6 children?
The enforcement service is a reactive service, and to the most part, you know, we'd rely on reports from members of the public. You know, we don't have the capacity to go out and check on a proactive basis.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, if I can answer that. There are 2 processes, one of which the childminder has to be registered with the CSSIW, and therefore the checks, I'm not quite sure which checks you're talking about, but there are substantial checks carried out by them, and they look at the property in a different light to planning. They look at the area they feel is required for X amount of children, and therefore they determine that the childminder can have a certain amount, and they are inspected in the same way as you know, school inspections, etc.
Can I just add, the CSSIW used to require proof from childminders that they had planning permission, but I understand they no longer do now.
Any further questions? Any comments? Councillor Clive-Jones.
Well, I can't let it pass, Chair, but if you look on page 71, under paragraph 412 and 413, the word Merthyr is there. Can I ask that the word Tydfil is added to those 3, please? Can officers be consistent when they write these reports?
Yes, noted, Clive. Leader.
Yes, very briefly, Mr. Mayor. Only to say that following considerable toing and froing of the issues contained within the report, that it's great to see that the matter has now been resolved, hopefully to the satisfaction of everybody.
Thank you. Can we put this to the vote, please? So we'll go back to the old-fashioned method, show of hands. And that's been carried. And I've got to say it, Houston, we have a problem.
No, we've overcome that.
We go to item number 22, Merthyr Tydfil Open Space Strategy, to consider a report of Corporate Director, Place and Transformation. I believe it's Councillor Barry's going to take it.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Mr Mayor, in December 2010, Council gave approval for the Town Plan Division to be in preparation of open space strategy for the whole of the county borough. A summary of the approval given in December 2010 is listed in 3.1 of the report. An update report was presented to Council in March 2013, setting out the work undertaken up to that point in time and the next tasks to be completed. All background work has now been completed and a draft open space strategy and associated action plans are now in place and are ready for public consultation. Subject to approval tonight, there will be a 6-week public consultation period, and any comments received as part of that process will be taken into account before a final version of the document is placed before Council, and not committee as it says in the report, placed before Council for approval in spring/summer 2016. An immense amount of work has gone into producing this draft strategy. I'd like to thank Justin and his colleagues in the Planning and Countryside Division for all the work they've done. I also have to acknowledge the contribution of our Open Spaces champion, Councillor Tony Chaplin, who I'm sure will have some comments to add afterwards. Mr Mayor, I move recommendations 2.1 and 2.2 on page 73 and 74 of the report.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Any comments? Councillor Chaplin.
I'd like to endorse the sentiments expressed by Councillor Barry. I am aware of the tremendous amount of work that's gone into producing this, and I'd like to thank Tom directly tonight because he's been one of the prime movers on this. I would ask fellow councillors to look very closely at the action plans which have been developed for individual wards so you can see what is being proposed and encourage people in the community to get actively involved in the consultation process.
Sorry, Councillor Thomas.
Quite all right, Mr Mayor. I'm happy to sit and wait at your leisure. I serve just for you. I simply want to comment that I wish we'd had this sort of plan, and of course it was the foresight of a previous administration that brought the... oh, okay, I won't bother to go down that road. I just wish we'd had this sort of plan when Tydfil Park was developed, because there are 350 houses there and ne'er a space anywhere amongst all for children to play. So I'm delighted with the work that's been done. I'm pleased to support it, and I shall be voting yes, of course.
Any other further comments? Okay, councillors, let's put it to the vote. And that's been passed. See, we can fix things. So we just go on to an information report now. Item number 23, Frosser Fan Community Fund, to receive the report of the Chief Executive, and that's it. I've been asked if you have any questions or comments, can you take it up with the officer who wrote the report directly? So we now then go to a closed session. So can I get somebody to propose section 100, please?
Yes, Mr Mayor, move section 100.
Thank you, councillors. Can we vote on that? And that's been carried.